Hello and welcome to the San Francisco Health Service Systems webinar, training you on two things today. We're going to combine registering for eBenefits as well as navigating through eBenefits. I'm joined by my colleagues, Derek, Holly, Sonali, Jessica, and Brian. We will be helping you through this training today. Here's a look at how this training will work. That's not how it works. That's what we want to accomplish. Here's how it's going to work. This is a Microsoft Teams live event. So you're all on mute. But how you can interact with us is if you click on the icon that's the call out and the question mark, as you see here, then that'll open up the Q&A box and you can type in your questions, and my teammates are on standby and they will be responding to you, as well as we will go through some of those questions with the entire audience so that everybody can learn from those questions. So out of the first part of our training today, the goal is to get you into the steps for registering for eBenefits. And as far as the looking up current elections and making changes online, we'll cover that in the second portion of our meeting. The registering for eBenefits, this is for those of you that work for City College, or you work for the Unified School District, or you're a retiree. If you work for the City and County of San Francisco or for Superior Court, you do not have to register your account. You already have an account in the employee portal, but we will show everybody where you actually log in and get started. So let's quickly take you through how you do this one-time registration. Again, that's just for City College, Unified School District, and retirees. And my colleagues are going to be putting into that chat window some very helpful links for you, including step-by-step instructions and where information is on our website, and the web page that we're going to go to do this. So as part of the process, when you register, you'll get your DSW number. And so that actually stands for disaster service worker, but you're not all disaster service workers, but that's what it's called in our system. It's a 5 or 6 digit ID that is your user ID. You'll also set up your password, and you'll set up multi-factor authentication, which is that additional security layer where it's looking for some other type of confirmation it's you, other than just a password. And then we'll get into logging in, which will dovetail nicely into the second part of our training about how do we navigate there. All right, so the first place that you go to is the My Apps dashboard. And so in our chat, we're putting in a URL. It's myapps.sfgov.org. And if you get there, it looks like this screen right here. And again, there's that URL. If you've previously registered, or if you again are city, if you're a Superior Court or City and County of San Francisco, you could just log in. You don't have to do this registration. This is one time only for the other employers and retirees. But all the way underneath, to the bottom part of this box, there is some text here that says first time registration for retirees, City College, or SFUSD. That is linkable. So you go ahead and you click on that, and when you do that, it gets you into this other screen that starts prompting you for some personally identifiable information so that we can figure out who you are and get you the correct information. So the first field will be your first name, then you'll type in your last name, the month and the year of your date of birth. And then we have something called this CAPTCHA. And this part down here, the CAPTCHA, is absolutely case sensitive. So in this example, it's a capital W, capital Q, capital B, lowercase n, and 2 capital Y's. If you're unable to read what that is, because sometimes, if it's a capital O or a 0, or is it a I or a 1 or an L, they can be very confusing. So a nice little tip and trick for you that I have is that if you were to just refresh your browser, so up at the address bar, if you were to click your little refresh icon, it would refresh your page. If you'd already typed in your first or last name, that would get wiped out and you'd have to do it again. But since it's refreshing your page, you're also getting a new CAPTCHA. So I highly encourage that if you're looking at it, trying to figure out what are those letters and numbers. The other thing about when you put in your name information here is this is what exists in our system. So for example, if your name is Peter, but you go by Pete and you type in Pete, it's not going to match us. Look at the letter that we sent you for open enrollment and how did we address that? That's your clue about how we have your name entered into our system. And so you want to be as specific as we sent that to you. So if you've got this right and it matches what we're looking for, you'll be able to click submit and you'll get to the next page. If you try to submit, you get an error message here, something is not matching. And so if you're sure about the CAPTCHA, you've definitely got the right letters and the case of those letters, then there's something mismatching with the name or the month, 2-digit month, 4-digit year of your date of birth. And you may end up having to call member services because it may be, and we've certainly had this with a few people, where how we have the name in the system is different from how you're typing it in. So, but we're going to be positive thinkers today and say that you got through this first screen. And so when you click submit, you get another screen and it looks very much the same in that you're being prompted for your first and last name, but now we're going one step deeper and we're getting even more identifiable information for you. This time we're requesting that you give us your full date of birth, month, day, and year in the MMDDYYYY format. And also we want the last 5 digits of your social security number. Once you do that and you click submit, we'll get into the next screen. Same thing applies. This has to match what's in our system, and sometimes maybe what's in our system's not right. So if you end up with any error messages here, you'll have to call into our member services tomorrow because we are closed now this evening. But and we can look up in the system and review with you what is the information you're typing doesn't match what we have. This is a great opportunity for us to do some data cleanup while we're at it. Again, I'm positive, so we got through this part, let's say. And so now we're getting into the heart of it. So on this page, right here at the very top where I have this circled, that's where your DSW number shows up. So if you don't have that OE mailing around and handy, you can look here on this screen. We're giving it to you, but write it down because it's the only time we're serving it up to you. It is your user ID. It's how you get into our systems. So it's an important identifier for you to save. What shows up here? Maybe 6 digits in length. So if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's fine. But if it has a leading 0, let's say that number was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, when you actually go to log into the system, you drop the leading 0. And we'll just review that again later. So definitely write down the DSW number that you get at the top. And the next thing you're doing on this particular page is you are going to set your password. And it tells you right on this screen exactly what is being required in terms of the length, 10 characters. You need to have 1 numeric character. You need an uppercase. You need a lowercase. You need a special character. And then you got to type it again and make sure they match. And every time you do one of these things, you're getting some visual feedback because over here, these little check boxes get a green check mark every time you've hit that particular requirement. And so that'll give you the confidence that you need that you've got your password. And again, I know we're moving through this rather quickly today, but we have all sorts of information and step-by-step guides on our website so that later on, just in peace and quiet, you can just look through that guide and take this nice and slow 1 page at a time so that you're able to go ahead and get your DSW, set your password, which was 2 of our 4 goals here. So let's see where we go next. So after you've done that, you get a message that, hey, your password has been successfully set. And then it says log in. So go ahead and click on login, and you're going to input your ID, which is that DSW that showed up on the previous screen. Again, drop the leading 0 if you have a leading 0. And then type in the password that you just created. When you do that, click agree and sign in. And then as we proceed to the next screen, you will be prompted to set up your multi-factor authentication. It is a secondary authentication into the system that makes sure we keep everything secure for you. So if somebody got a hold of your password, they still couldn't just get in without having to go through this extra layer of security. Now, I will tell you that out of the box, what we're using for this identity and access management, it offers an email option. And so you'll see that as a choice. Please do not select email. It is not supported. We don't have your proper emails in the system. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And another reason why you don't want to do that is for most everybody, if you have to go through a password reset, but then you can't get into your systems that are controlled by the same account, then you're never going to get the email to do the password reset. There's just a whole lot of items about it that it's not supported, but it appears on the screen because that's how it comes from the vendor. So your options really are to use a mobile number. This might be like some banking that you've done before, where if you put in your mobile number, it'll send you a text and then you have to input the code that was just sent to you. Or you can enroll in secret questions. There's actually 3 questions that you have to give answers to. So as you select from the drop-down list a question and then you give it your answer, and you can even give yourself a hint so that you can remember it next time. And I certainly encourage you to click on the little icon of the eye so that you can see what did you write in the answer and make sure you didn't have a typo. So because otherwise you won't be able to match onto your secret question. And you'll go through and do 3 of those. And finally, for some of you that are a little bit more savvy with your mobile devices, you can use the Mobile Authenticator app from Oracle, and you can download that from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and look for that Oracle Mobile Authenticator icon that you see down here in the bottom right. And once you install it from the app, it'll pop up the code and you can scan it with your phone, and then that'll help make the linkage. Then you'll be all set up. So those are your 3 MFA options of what you can choose. Again, email, not supported. And you're welcome to set up more than one type of MFA, but you do have to set up at least one. And you can down the road change what you're using for your MFA as well. So you're not locked in, but for the sake of going through your one-time registration, you do need to set something up in there. So once you've gone through this, you should get a screen that says multi-factor authentication has been set up successfully, and you can click done. So now you are at the point where you have completed your one-time registration for eBenefits. We got you your DSW, which is what you use as a user ID. We got you a password. We set you up for MFA, and now we're going to show you how to get into eBenefits. Before I move into that secondary part of our training, I'm going to ask my colleagues if there was any questions specifically about registering an account that we should address now before we move on.
Hi, Ren. This is Holly. Doesn't look like there's any questions that have come in live right now. So we are here to answer any questions, and we'll be active as long as anyone's here.
Great, thank you very much. And so we're going to put again the URL, and I'm going to switch around. Give me a moment while I move into different spaces here for this subsequent.